back to the Mex Mundo kitchen. Today's recipe is from the northern states of Mexico. I'm not from the northern part of Mexico, but I love this recipe anyhow. And it's how to make flour tortillas. A lot of recipes in baking and more bread making and in tortillas, like the flour tortillas, they use vegetable shortening, which I honestly don't like. And I think in all the recipes you can search in my channel, you're not going to find one that has vegetable shortening, at least not yet. I usually try to avoid it. I try to use butter as much as I can because I like the taste and because I think it's a more original way of making it. Vegetable shortening is a more new ingredient. They often use it because it's cheaper and I like butter. So these tortillas are really amazing. You're gonna love them and I hope you start making them with me. The ingredients you need to make the best flour tortillas you have ever tasted are 8.3 grams of salt. The equivalent is 1 1/4 teaspoon. 4 grams of baking powder, the equivalent is 2 teaspoons. 500 grams of flour, the equivalent is 4 cups. 100 grams of butter, the equivalent is 1/4 cup. 350 milliliters of water, the equivalent is 1 cup and 2/3. Okay, so I have my apron on because every time I make flour tortillas, I end up all messy. All the flour somehow just loves sticking to my clothes. Before I get started, tortillas, whether it's flour or corn, they can be made either by hand or you can use your mixer with the dough attachment. I honestly prefer using the mixer because since you're kneading your dough with really hot water, I've had some bad experiences burning my hands, and if I have the mixer, I'd rather use it. No point going through the torture of kneading really hot dough. But if you guys don't have it, just use a really big bowl and follow the exact same procedure I'm going to explain while doing it in the mixer. It's exactly the same steps and you'll still have super yummy tortillas. That being said, what we're going to do is either in a small saucepan or a pocillo, this is what we call them in Mexico. You add your water and your butter in here and you're going to put your water to boil until the butter melts in there. Once it melted, you turn it off. In your bowl, you're going to add your flour, your baking powder, and your salt, and with a hand whisk, you just quickly kind of mix it in there just to make sure they really integrate. And then you pour in your water with butter in there, and that's when you start kneading. That's why I say it's super hot if you do it by hand. So I'm using the bread hook. You knead until everything is super well integrated. The dough doesn't have to be sticky. Once you touch it, it shouldn't stick on your hands. It's a nice smooth dough. If it feels dry, you can always add some more water. I usually keep 1/4 cup around just in case it needs it to add. And if it feels that it's still too sticky, then you can add 1/2 teaspoon of flour. You knead it, and if it still feels sticky, you add a little bit more. But usually the amounts I give you should be fine. I guess it depends on the type of flour you use and temperature and everything. But that's it. That's how you make your dough. It's super easy. Okay, so I finished kneading the dough by hand. It's less hot, so it's more bearable. But I wanted to show you the texture. So if you're kneading, often if a dough is sticky, it will stick to your hands. So I'm just showing you here so you see that nothing is stuck on my hands. They're just shiny from the butter, but it's a very non-sticky dough. That's how it has to be. So now the next step is we're going to cover our bowl with a dry cloth, a dry towel, and we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, you uncover and you're going to make 60-gram balls. So you ball your dough, you weigh it, and it has to weigh 60 grams. And you're going to put it on a tray. You fill it up with all your dough balls and you are going to cover it with a humid towel. You have to wet it and wring it out, and then you cover it so that the balls don't dry out. And you leave it for another 10 minutes to rest, and then after that we can start making our tortillas. Okay, so first things first. Our tortilla balls are done resting. Don't uncover them, otherwise the dough will dry out. Tortillas are usually made in something called comal, which is a very flat pan. You can find them made out of clay. This one's glazed, and there's other ones which are covered in this white coating. I can't remember what it's called in English, but this would be the clay version. You can also buy, these I think are made out of aluminum. You can find them in round or oval shaped. And they are wonderful because they are so good at transmitting heat. They cook things really fast. Not everyone has comales, so I'm using a crepe pan, which works just as well. So you don't have to go and buy a special pan for your tortilla making. Use whatever you have at home. If you do have a comal, and let's say you have an induction stove and you can't use it because these stoves are quite picky, they're a nuisance in that sense, you can get these things, I can't remember what they're called. I've had mine for a while, but you can get them on Amazon or in cooking specialty shops. And what they do is they make the induction stove recognize any other pan you have, which otherwise wouldn't be recognized by the stove. You just put it underneath, and then it will automatically heat up your pan, whether it's the clay one or whichever one you want to use. That being said, the pan, whichever one you're using, heat it up to a medium-high heat. And once it's hot, what we're going to do is the tortillas can be made two ways. The traditional way is using a rolling pin, so you have to flour your surface and flour your rolling pin. That's very important, very heavily floured. And you're going to roll it out to a round shape, the shape of a tortilla, obviously, and also the thickness of a tortilla. So that anyone who's eaten a tortilla before, you know how thick they are. And that would be form number one. The second way you can make it is using a tortilla press. And that's very simple. You just use your tortilla press. Instead of putting plastic wrap, you usually put waxed paper because that way it won't stick. You press out your tortilla and voila, that's form number two. The difference is in the cooking times. If you use the rolling pin, the total cooking time is going to be 1 minute. So what you do is you cook 20 seconds, you flip your tortilla over, 20 seconds, you flip it a third time for 20 seconds, and in the third flip, your tortilla is gonna blow up like magic. And that's when you know your tortilla is cooked, and you just transfer it to a towel so it keeps warm. You put it inside the towel and it keeps warm in there. If you use the tortilla press, they are much thicker. I like more making them by hand with a rolling pin. So since it's thicker, it takes longer to cook on your pan. It's usually about 5 or 6 flips of 20 seconds, just like the other one. So you cook 20 seconds, you flip 20 seconds, you flip until it blows up. It's thicker, so it takes longer. But otherwise, whichever technique you use, your tortillas are going to be super yummy. Okay, so we are done making our tortillas. I cleaned up all the humongous mess that's left after all that flour and rolling out. But as you can see, I did a bewitched magical thing and it's all gone. Let me show you guys these beautiful tortillas. You can do the folding test, so you just kind of like fold it and squish it and then you unfold it, and that's how good they are. And I mean, if you ask absolutely, I'm pretty sure absolutely anyone from any country, what do you think of when you think of Mexican food? The majority say tacos. And for tacos, you need tortillas, which I'm teaching you how to make them right now. Really good ones because they have butter, so the taste is amazing, honestly. You can make breakfast burritos, you can make quesadillas, you can make so much stuff with these. They are really good. And I mean, it's too good not to try. I'm so lucky to be Mexican and have all this yummy food to enjoy. Come on, you guys. Don't you guys like tacos? I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope you make it so you see how good these tortillas with butter are. And I'll see you guys in the next video.